Why fix Rotich over 2 projects while he assigned over 22 projects?
We've heard, for example, that the government has lost 21 billion in Kimwarer and I don't know, Aror Dam, which is a flat lie.
Ni nini unajua ambaye watu wengine hawajui?
He should tell us why he has gotten the figures of 7 billion shillings.
Wale wanatuzungusha hapa na Kiingereza, Kiswahili sijui, dam hii imefanya hii imefanya. If there are 57 dams that are intended to be built, kwa nini wewe macho yako tu inaangalia Kimwarer na Aror?
And after months of investigations into the dam scandal and subsequent political exchanges, the Director of Public Prosecutions, Nuruddin Haji, has kicked off a fresh storm. On the firing line, Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich, his Principal Secretary Kamal Thuge, and 12 others in tow. 19 billion shillings in question. Is this the turning point in the war against graft? And of course, just like before, when all this started, there is politics, or there's an attempt to introduce politics in all this. In studio now, we have Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, who's the Senator for Cheruiyot County. Sorry, I keep saying Nandi County, sorry. That is your friend Gerard Gay.
Okay.
Yeah. Senator of Cheruiyot County. And we also have Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament, Peter Kaluma. Thank you both for making time for us. The last thing we had you talk about on the clip there, that was a while back, I think last year, if I'm not wrong, or early this year.
Maybe early this year.
Early this year. Yeah. You're questioning the issue about these dams. You've questioned it again in a tweet that has been as controversial as ever. Let's take a look at what you actually said in this tweet. That I do not know about the guilt or otherwise of Rotich and Company. All I know is that there are over 200 Government of Kenya projects that have followed the same process as Kimwarer and Aror. So long as the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions are silent about it, he can tell his tales to the bird or to the birds. I want you to put that into context. Clearly, you're questioning the independence of that office.
DPP.
And before I even let you respond to that, there's one person who responded to you on that tweet, among many, and quite aptly, I might say, Wesley Mosigisi. You could respond to him now, who says, are you, that is Senator Cheruiyot, are you concerned whether the process followed was right or wrong? If wrong, do you think we should start with one or prosecute all of them at the same time? If we should start with one, then move on to the next, which one do you think we should start with? Respond to him.
Good. Thank you, Hussein, and thank you for having me this evening. Before I give I respond to that particular issue, let me give it context. You know, earlier on you asked me if I support the war on corruption, and I told you yes, I do support the war on corruption, and you appeared shocked because the story that you keep on running is that those of us who critique the workings of DPP and DCI do not support. In my mind, I think DPP and DCI are not short of supporters. I mean, if you go online and you speak to Kenyans on the street, they've got an army of people who support what they are doing.
Why do you think
Therefore,
why do you think so?
No, let me explain to you. Therefore, those of us who critique him are only making him become better. He shouldn't, you know, as a leader, part of the people that I call upon or look up to as my greatest supporters are those who critique what I do. They say, I do not agree with how you have done A, B, C, D. I think you would have done it better this way. Therefore, it is in that context that some of us continue to speak about issues in the office of the DCI with the veracity that with which we speak.
The question is how you are doing it.
Yes.
How you're criticizing is a question. But because you raised a point here that when you go outside the streets, most Kenyans will tell you they are doing the right thing, isn't it?
Yes, of course.
What does that tell you about them then? They're doing the right thing, isn't it?
No, not necessarily. By the way, let me tell you.
You just said, I mean, most people will tell you on the streets they're doing the right thing.
But you know, it's not necessarily that the most popular thing is the right thing.
The perception is that they're doing the right thing.
Perception is one thing. Reality is a different issue. You know, Hussein, in a country like ours, with the kind of poverty levels that we have in Kenya, and Kenyans having been sold to a story that the reason why you continue to be poor, why we don't thrive, is 100% because of all your entire development budget, it ends up being looted and that kind of a thing. Therefore, it is bound to happen that anytime Kenyans see anything happen, like whoever is arrested, even if it is you who say today, believe you me, people will say, we don't care, we don't mind that it is you Hussein that we know, please, go ahead and convict that fellow. Therefore, it is expected, it is bound. The anger is genuine amongst our people. But for somebody who sits in an office like the one I do, a position of responsibility, it will be an abrogation of my responsibilities to just give a blank check to DPP and DCI and cheer them on.
So what is
I must be able to question the process.
Why are you questioning the DPP's independence?
Because I have seen in countries where they have successfully been able to win the war against graft, how they do it in comparison with how we do it in Kenya. You should ask yourself, Hussein, why is it that Chicken Gate in the US, the suspects have been prosecuted, they have been convicted, and they're already out? In Kenya, the same hasn't happened. Do you know why? It's because of this kind of working that some of us are saying, if you do it that way, as you are doing it DPP, as you are doing it DCI, you will never secure a conviction.
Okay.
So in fact, between the people cheering on DPP and DCI, I think those of us who are helping him do his work more professionally and in a better way, we are the real supporters of the war.
Fair enough. You've just said he's winning in the perception war. That is almost all that is needed. But either way, I'm asking you a specific question. Why are you questioning the DPP's independence, especially on this specific case?
Oh yeah, on the yes, particular issue. Hussein, I want to give you a perfect example. If you sit for an examination, you and I, Hussein and Aaron sit for an exam, and we write the same answer, marked by the same teacher, but then he returns your exam sheet, he tells you you scored a 0. He returns my exam sheet, he tells me I got it right. We sat through the same exam, marked by the same teacher, but then the same teacher returns a different verdict. Wouldn't you be bound to question and say, what is it that this teacher saw in Aaron's exam that he marked it right, yet marked mine wrong, despite the fact that we got the answer correct? What am I saying? They are more than, and I speak from a position of knowledge, not something out of the blues. There are more than 100 GOK projects, leave alone those executed before Jubilee came to power, by this same administration, using the same process that has been used to procure and do Kimwarer and Aror. Yet, DPP and DCI want us to believe that it is only in these particular 2 dams that they are finding fault. Therefore, we haven't said, listen, I haven't said there is absolutely no fault, but I have told him I would wish to know, for example, why Kimwarer and Aror and not the other ones.
Okay.
If he was gracious enough to give us an explanation and say, we have also established that the impropriety and those kind of things in the other dams, and we are coming to them, that will be satisfied for me.
I want to bring in Honorable just one moment. Please bear with me. I need to ask him a question here. Yes. First, the DPP, or no, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, or I know, the DPP has not said no other government projects have problems. There's been nothing like that.
Yes.
We're talking about a specific problem. He's questioning the procurement of Kimwarer and Aror. Okay? That is what he's questioning.
Of course.
Isn't it? So why exactly are you faulting him? Because he should find faults in others? Is that what you're saying?
The question, listen, Hussein, and this is where I want you to follow through with my line of argument, that if you follow the same process, you should achieve the same result.
Meaning,
but if there's a deviation...
Are you saying you understand and you know that there are faults, and there were faults in the procurement of these 2 dams, and all these other projects you're saying, and they are the same, they have faults?
In fact,
is that what you're saying?
What I am saying is the converse of what you're saying. That if you can find fault if there was no fault in the other ones, then chances are there's no fault in this particular one as well.
Why? I mean, why? How would you know? Why would you know?
Because I know it is the same process that was followed.
Yeah, but processes can be abused.
If you go today, Hussein, to a place here in Kiambu called Karimenu, you will find a dam, okay, that is supposed to have been built. Money has been paid, about 4 billion shillings 3 years ago. But if you go to that particular place today, people are still living in that land. As we speak right now is when compensation is being done. Therefore, I am bound to question that while you are going about your duties in Kimwarer and Aror, do you have in your radar that there are other about 57 dams, because that is what we are being told, that have been procured during the same process? Because the reason why we question is that sitting where I sit, I suspect that somebody is not keen to have these projects done. Okay. The end game is to destroy these particular projects. And this is why it becomes a point of concern to me.
Okay.
You know, the Swahili have a saying, Hussein, ukiona mwenzako ananyolewa, chako tia maji. Okay. In the county that I represent in the Senate of Kericho, there are 2 dams that are supposed to be constructed. If I let Kimwarer and Aror die, by the way, I'd be more than satisfied if today I'm assured that this Rotich, that's why I started my tweet by saying, Rotich and company can do their battles. Okay. So long as I'm assured that the project will be secure.
All, nobody has said the project will not be secure. But anyway.
No, you know, you are the only one saying. Government hasn't assured us.
I'm not saying they have assured. I'm saying nobody has said it will not happen.
So long as we keep it that way, I am fine
Either way, Honorable Cheruiyot, you have started by saying, I do not know about the guilt or otherwise of Rotich and company.
Exactly.
So how would you know about all these other projects, that they're the same process?
Sorry?
You said, I do not know about the guilt or otherwise of Rotich and company.
Yes.
Meaning you don't know whether there was misappropriation or not.
Or not, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's alleged and there's an investigation and now it's in court.
We'll get an answer.
So how would you say that it should be the same process with other projects and there should be
That's why I have
projects?
told you, Hussein, if you use the same process to achieve a particular objective and you tell me one is wrong or one is right, the result should be similar.
It can't be similar because one is wrong because there's an alleged misappropriation of funds. We don't know about the rest, do we?
How do you know?
That's what I'm asking you.
How do you know?
That is what I'm asking you because you're the one saying it. You're the one saying that they should be the same process.
Listen,
that is what I'm asking
Hussein, there's something that you're not following through in my line of
Maybe you're not following through what I'm saying. But I'll come to you shortly. Honorable Peter Kalu.
Yes, Hussein, we lose about $1 trillion to corruption each year if you are to go by the Auditor General's reports each financial year, because he puts the figure at about 1/3 of our national budget. And you know we have gone beyond 3 trillion for the past 3 consecutive years. And because of that, our development is stagnated at very many fronts. That is number one. And so it is in the interest of all Kenyans that we avoid this, because the national government is, taking a lot of debts because we don't have money around. We have obligations. You know, in terms of repaying our debt obligations alone, we are doing over 700 billion annually now. And our national revenue collection is barely $1 trillion. What it means is that we lose to corruption as much as we collect in taxes each year. So it is something that I think we should all, join hands around. And that is the extent to which I agree with my brother, that every well-meaning Kenyan will fight, the war against corruption. Number two, the public goodwill around the fight against corruption has been very high, and the public goodwill has been sustained for quite some time. But to tell us, Hussein, as we now confirm, if you want a time when the office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and even EACC have been more popular than this time, you will not get it. Their popularity rating is currently very high. Very high because in the eye of the public, they appear to be doing the right thing. We've lamented in the past about political goodwill. Remember the first Jubilee leadership? We were saying, where is the president? Why is the president lamenting instead of taking action? Let me tell you, for us who have known the affected civil servants, Henry Rotich is one cabinet secretary who has served the Jubilee administration, for the longest, time, without being moved to a different ministry, and remaining in a very sensitive ministry. Perhaps Kenyans need to know that in my thinking, Henry Rotich is an appointee and a long-time confidant of the president. So when I saw Henry Rotich, being pronounced as going to court and I never saw the president interfere, I said, really, the political goodwill we've been talking about is here with us. And that is the extent to which I was saying that it signifies something. If you look at, Kamau Thuge, other than Belio Kipsang, there is no other principal secretary who stayed in his docket as powerful as that for the length of time Kamau has been there. So I want to thank the president for stepping aside. The request I want us to make is that, we depoliticize the war on corruption, it will be painful. These are people, you know, saying I can tell you, Bwana Henry Rotich is a personal friend of mine through public service. Kamau Thuge, a personal friend through public service. I'm one person who has had relatives being tried before court. Some convicted, we have pending appeals.
Yes.
Others ongoing. I mean, Aaron will confirm to you. What we want to request the country is because of the pain of corruption, let us, you know, take away politics, take away blood concentrations, allow these institutions which are in charge of the fight to do their work.
Is this criticizing what Senator Cheruiyot is doing, or is it politicizing the war, according to you?
I don't want to categorize them as such, but in the context that is, you see, saying in the context of what he's saying now, if he's saying just like Aurora and Kamwarer, let us have the others.
Yes, that's what he's saying.
I would agree with him. But he does not have confirmation about what is happening in the others. That is why I would rather we keep pushing these institutions to work. And where they do well, let us, you know, give them the support they need.
Okay.
It does not help to go out there and say, DPP, you are on the wrong. DCI, you are on the wrong. EACC, you are on the wrong. You see the people who have been, you know, undergoing trial, even the court where, you know, my good brothers here were today. There was a matter, Aaron, which was undergoing trial there. That is my relative. But we are saying, let the processes carry forth. Our belief must be in the rule of law.
Okay.
If indeed there is a problem, they will be convicted and they must pay. If there is no problem, they should have their liberty. My concern would be if we rushed investigations and, you know, arrested and subjected to legal process a person holding as serious a state office as Henry Rotich. And I want to give these institutions the benefit of doubt that we don't move in haste. And I'm convinced, I have no reason not to be convinced, that there appears to be evidence, because we'll be concerned about, you know, the sanity, the decency in the processes.
I want you to respond to this tweet, and you didn't respond to Wesley. We'll still respond to him.
Oh yeah.
His tweet,
okay. Yeah?
But let's look at what Keynes said on Twitter. Both of you can respond, but Honorable Kaluma, he says, the fight against corruption in Kenya is very selective. We have Ruaraka land scandal, health ministry scandal, etc. But ODPP has failed to embrace equity on this fight. It's nowadays a political tool used by the owners of this nation. We shall resist. How do you
The way to go
him? Yeah.
is not to say nothing should be done in the war against corruption. The positive way to go is to say, now that we are moving well in this direction of Aurora, Kamorera and others, could we also deal with these others? And I don't believe that the investigative agencies, I don't believe, and I would not think the DPP is not looking at those matters. So to me, this is good information, but it is for those institutions to expand so that my take is that that citizen, like others are telling them, there are other cases here.
Can there be such a thing, equity? Equity in fighting corruption?
Of course, it has to be there. It has to be there. Let me tell you, Sen, if you look at Article 27 of the Constitution, the main principle is non-discrimination and equality before the law. What that guy is saying, as against what my brother here appears to be advocating, is not that you fail to deal with an instance of corruption, but you deal with all. And I imagine that is the direction, if we are moving forward,
which is
we must be consistent with.
Which is also impossible when you look at the resources involved.
No.
It is not impossible.
Listen,
it is not impossible.
Hussein,
But I believe the DPP, the DCI, EACC are treating all matters around corruption.
No doubt, but of course,
otherwise, as leadership, will push them.
Last year, I was going to ask you this question on the issue of DCJ Mwilu. The DPP said, of course, they want to tackle everything, but they cannot tackle everything. People also have to appreciate that's what they said. I'll come to the issue of Mwilu shortly. Let's respond to Wesley Musigizi again.
Exactly.
When he told you so, which one should he start with?
You know, there's a very important part of my tweet that you left out, Hussein, which would have helped you to understand my line of thinking. I said, all I know is that there are over 200 GOK projects that have followed the same process. So long as ODP are silent about it. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm saying, please update us to know if there are also problems in the other ones or they are okay just like this one.
Yes.
Isn't that fair criticism, Hussein?
My question is, you didn't end there. There's something after about it you said.
Yes.
You said
of
after
course.
about it, he can tell the being independent tales to the birds.
Yes.
Why?
Until such a time as he's able to speak about it.
So,
because you need to marry that with the kind of tweet that you've just read about. That you know, for example, that governors for the last 5 or 6 years have been complaining about this particular thing called leased medical equipment. That even this year, at the Senate, we have refused to fund that particular project because it doesn't make sense for Kenyans to pay 200 million shillings per CT scan machine that costs 200 million Kenya shillings. So long as we keep pointing DPP to the right direction, we are aiding him to do his job. Nobody has told him not to stop. I haven't told him to stop
but you're questioning his
investigation.
independence.
Yes.
This is an institution, and you're questioning the capabilities of such an institution.
Is it, since
when you're questioning the independence.
So since when did it become a crime to question?
No, I'm asking you, why are you questioning his independence?
Because so long as they remain silent on issues that are known in the public. Are you aware, Hussein, that, for example, a court of law has ruled a few weeks ago that government of Kenya bought its own land? That particular file arrived at the desk of DPP way before Kimwarere Naror. So long as he does not speak about those issues, aren't we bound? Isn't it common sense that will tell you if you received a particular file way ahead of the other?
Part of the tweet.
You'll respond, Honorable,
yes,
Honorable Kaluma. Honorable Cheruiyot. So what are you saying? Because you tweeted this let me just finish.
Okay.
In the context of what happened yesterday. Why didn't you tweet this before yesterday?
Because I was responding to what was...
Before the issues of Rotich, before the DPP's press briefing yesterday, all these other issues you are saying existed, isn't it?
Yes.
Why didn't you tweet them before? Why did you raise your concerns before?
Because you continue to aid a narrative. DPP had been silent and quiet about
it.
That unless DPP shows beyond reasonable doubt that they are not working in cahoots with anyone or they are not trying to push a particular narrative, we are duty bound to question.
Which narrative? You're saying unless they show?
Yes.
Why? Why would they show? That is their job, isn't it?
You know, Hussein, you must be able to follow things in a very systematic and simple manner. If you are DPP, you have received a particular file and you've been told there's this particular matter that happened at this particular place, it has been investigated by both houses of parliament, then you go silent about it.
Or you're investigating it.
No, just
it could be either, isn't it?
It could be either way.
Okay.
Give and take. After some time, you receive another particular file. And within a very short time, you tell us, by the way, I have concluded investigations into this one. Are we not duty bound as good citizens
to ask
and say...
Ask who?
To ask the same DPP that...
Are you asking him or are you questioning his independence? That's the question. It was not about how you it's not about criticizing. The question people are asking is how you're criticizing. Are you asking him because you can ask?
Is there a problem?
Or are you questioning the independence because of what has happened now?
I question his independence because of what has happened now. Do you know why? Do you know why? Do you know why? Do you know why I do that? It's because the information that he has fed us, even you know, you must really also bear with us to a certain extent that had we had this show last night, we would have had the liberty to say some of the things which we cannot say now. There are things about this particular case which unfortunately, because of sub judice law, we are not able to bring them forth. And because of those particular issues, Hussein, we are duty bound to ensure that you critique a particular public office. It's a public office just like the one I hold. People are bound to ask me questions and say, what you have done is right, what you have done is not right.
Why haven't you done so and so?
Why haven't you done so and so? And it is in that spirit that we continue to question.
You're questioning it differently. That's the concern.
I don't know. How would you rather that I did it?
It's not about me. I'm saying the feedback.
No, it would have been good to help me know.
That's what I'm asking you. Do you think it is your mode of questioning that is the problem when you're questioning the independence after what has happened yesterday?
But there are many people who agree with me also. Okay. Just like there are those who don't agree with me on how I question it.
Then my brother Aaron has a right to question. Because by criticizing these institutions, we farm them up, we make them more alert to the proper discharge of their mandate. Where I disagree with them is on their approach. You know, you cannot claim that unless all corruption cases are being, instigated, they are being, prosecuted at the same time, then you are not fighting corruption. we have traveled with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the DPP, the Attorney General, in, to countries, checking how corruption is, fought around the world. If you went to somewhere like the UK, you will be investigated even for 20 years without your knowing. All surveillance, all investigations are done.
Yeah.
And the thinking of nations which have succeeded in the battle against corruption is that you don't need to rush. You must conduct thorough investigations.
Okay.
Once you do thorough investigations, there is enough material. In fact, the case in terms of your conviction is as good as won. So I think Aaron is wrong to suggest that unless we are prosecuting all these cases at the same time, these agencies are not proceeding properly. I would personally take faith in what the institutions are giving, and I would request my brother to always alert them to the need to investigate these matters also. Not to say they should not. And to me, that is the approach we need to look at. Now, in terms of solution...
We'll come to solution. We'll come to that.
Yes, yes.
But he's been talking about a narrative.
Yes.
Let's forget about what has happened now. There's been what has been happening politically, especially in as far as the war on corruption is concerned. And all parties, Aaron Cheruiyot as an individual, his political party, his colleagues, your political party, your colleagues, do you think it would have been different? Do you think Aaron Cheruiyot and the people who support what he's saying, that's what he said, do you think it would have been different if all political players, your party members included, had stopped prosecuting corruption in public as opposed to the courts?
We always refuse to make this discussion. You said you remember.
It has been made. It has been made several times.
I was reluctant even to come for this interview, you can confirm. Because I was saying, let the agencies do their work. The problem we had with the first Jubilee administration, the Jubilee administration before elections, is what we didn't have during Kibaki time. Things were properly planned. Developments would be undertaken across the nation because of the economic viability and how they would benefit the nation. In the first Jubilee, I don't know whether it was because of the need for re-election or otherwise, projects were being initiated across the country, areas which were deemed to be strongholds of Jubilee then, in a very facade way. And that is where we lost it. That is where Aaron is right when he's saying there are over 100 million, shillings. In terms of corruption, how the Jubilee administration operated is that these things would be budgeted. I mean, look at me in the eye, Hussein. You don't need 30 billion to do a dam anywhere. That is more than the CDF allocation nationally.
No doubt about that.
Yes. So the fact of the matter is that we facadely went for projects. We built in bribes, which we secured before the projects would be undertaken. Now, that is not to say these people are culpable. My thinking is that going forward, we must tighten the budgeting process. And when we go for people who, in terms of policy, are responsible, go for these engineers and other people who are, exaggerating, the bills, because that is where, the money is being stolen through corruption are built in.
You still avoided my question, so I'll be more direct this time.
Yes, yes.
Aaron Cheruiyot is a supporter and a strong supporter of the Deputy President.
Yes.
I'm not wrong about, am I?
Yes.
Of the President?
Of the Deputy President. The President.
And his Deputy.
Yes.
Yes.
And you have raised concerns about corruption, issues about corruption, especially the opposition. And NASA, to be precise, so the parties in NASA, and their individuals, when they go out there and say the Deputy President is corrupt. You've raised concerns about that.
Of course.
That has happened. My question is,
yes,
if that didn't happen, if all these people who say the Deputy President is corrupt don't say it outside and take it to court, would Aaron today have thought that this is a narrative?
I don't think there has been much mention, tying the DP. And in this context, you remember I told you, I know in my heart of hearts that the person who is hurting most between the DP and the President over what is affecting these two gentlemen is the President. In fact, I know clearly that Henry Rotich is an appointee of Uhuru Kenyatta, not the DP, even if they were to have that arrangement. I've also told you that even at our own personal level, I've had very close relatives convicted of corruption. Others I'm appealing. And having hurt so much. Others are ongoing trial, including today in the very court where Henry was being tried. You've never seen us, in court saying we are being targeted or otherwise, because we believe in the legal process. My hope, as I've told you, is that as politicians we would detach and allow the legal process, to go through. I would not be here to say that let us not investigate corruption, because if you investigate Kaluma, you are targeting Raila. No, we are losing money. That is the theme.
And in fact,
that is
and we saw, Honorable Kaluma, we saw during the DCJ Mwelu case, several of your party members. And you're a lawyer, by the way.
I personally went to court.
Yes, but several of your party members actually equated it to being fought politically.
That is the suggestion.
It doesn't make it different.
I'm saying, I agree with the theme of our discussion today and debate. And that is why I was telling you, it is better you allow us to propose to the nation how we can succeed in the war. Because, I sit in Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. When I hear the Deputy Chief Justice, in whose vetting I was an active player, and whose performance I've known is being arraigned in court, I was interested to go to court and ask, why arrest a DCJ? And this is why I'm telling you, if we are to succeed, Hussein, why should you call a state officer, whether it is Henry Rotich or the DCJ? Why should you order them to be arrested in the way I saw Kamau Thuge being arrested in the office? Why don't you tell them, report to court on such a day to take plea? Look at how long it takes then for us to try these cases. Do I tell you something? In the United Kingdom, first corruption cases are tried in the High Court, not magistrates' courts. And immediately you take plea, it is back to back. That judicial officer does not handle any file until it is done. Look at the amount we were, imposing on cash bail. Not just against this gentleman we took to court today, but against all these cases. We were looking at the case of Governor Kidero the other day. Is taken to court together with several junior officers, people who earn barely 20,000. But the judicial officer says, all of you, in a charge of 58 million, you pay 8 million in cash bail. Essentially, you've purported to give a constitutional right, but have taken it away. In England and across Europe and the United States, what happens is that by the time we are charging you with an offense of corruption, the issues of asset recovery are done. You are therefore free to go. In fact, the issue of bail, we don't delay taking, the amount of time I see courts taking every day. Bail is not argued. You go, it is an automatic right, you are under surveillance, so long as you can guarantee your attendance will be there. Now look, when with the restrictions we have around our bank and our economic situation, you are told, pay 15 million. Why don't you, for a state officer, just tell them, sign this free bond, give us your travel documents, you'll be there. I mean, where is Henry Rotich? Where are these people we are taking so much money as if we are, proceeding on recovery going to? That is why I'm saying we still have a lot to do.
Some would see this as acting as a deterrent, so that people
but they are innocent to sin until proven guilty. These guys are innocent. These people are families. These people are friends. These people still have their dignity.
You asked
Invariably, in very many, of these cases, you've seen people who have been accused getting acquitted. What we are saying is that in as much as we are fighting corruption, and our goodwill is there for it, whether political or from the public, let us be fair to the people being taken through those processes.
Okay.
You want Kaluma to report to the police. I mean, call me. This is, the CS Treasury. Why would you detain him when Article 49 says immediately you are arrested, you have a right to bail? I mean, what do you gain? Then you'll find situations where even food they can't get. Even water, it has to be, some activism. It is unnecessary. Subject
the only problem, I mean, you're fair enough with what you're saying.
Listen, Hussein, there's something that Kaluma is saying which is very important.
I understand you, Honorable Cheruiyot. Just one moment. I'm saying, what do you tell then to Kenyans who sometimes feel politicians should just keep off completely? Not say, like what you're saying could be, some could agree with it, and Honorable Cheruiyot is saying what you're saying is very important. And some would agree with you. But there are those who feel politicians would only comment on such matters when it affects them. But
Hussein, let me answer you.
What would you tell them?
Those are creations of the media. Those Kenyans you are saying we should not speak are the Kenyans who elect us. Every time. In fact, we are serving our second term, both of us. And we keep saying these things. My position, and I won't if Kenyans have a problem. You know, there is a narrative which the media is also singing between us and the people who love the way we represent them and keep electing us, which is not necessary. You want, you know, Kaluma to be subject to the law. Let me tell Kenyans outside there that we chose deliberately to review our previous constitution in which people would be detained without trial. And we said in the Bill of Rights that if you are suspected of having committed an offense, you will be subjected to legal process. This thing of harassing people are not necessary. Tell Kaluma, if he's the person, you know, involved, to report to such a police station. Let the police give me my bail. In fact, let me sign a free bond and then tell me the court to appear to. You remove those embarrassments and those things you're going to people at dawn. I mean, let me ask you, if the DPP told CS Rotich and Kamau Thuge report to this court, do you think they would have not reported? Okay. Now, when junior officers are picking people like they are small people somewhere, yet you know they will be committed to the legal process.
Like small people, what do you mean?
I mean, you saw what happened when Kamau Thuge was being picked.
It's not an issue abroad,
about small... I'm telling you, abroad in the UK.
I mean, when you say it's a small people, what do you mean? Like small people? People should be picked differently by police?
Yeah, certainly.
Because of their
Let me tell you something, Hussein. Let me tell you. That stature is regarded.
That's fine.
If you are in the military, for instance, let me tell you. If you are in the military, for instance, if you are to be arrested, it's a person above your rank.
That's the military.
A major cannot be arrested by a small person.
That's fine. That's the military.
How do you send a police constable to go and arrest a CS being guarded by senior police officers? You get fracas.
Why?
Tell the CS, Hussein, tell the CS to report to a police station or to court.
First of all,
this drama is not useful.
You know, I will not speak for police or whoever. You know, but Honorable Kaluma, I mean, what do you mean a constable cannot arrest a cabinet secretary? Why shouldn't they? Why should there be a problem about
the idea?
Why should there be a difference?
I'm answering you. I'm answering you. The idea is to secure that a person attends a legal process, whether at police station or court. I'm not talking about the person. I'm saying even the idea that you arrest a state officer is something that is embarrassing for no reason.
Which is supposed to be a deterrent.
Tell the state officer to report to court or to the police station, and I assure you they will.
What about the other Mwananchi who's just done something wrong?
Do you know why they do it that way, Hussein?
They should be arrested.
In fact, the law does not require that you handcuff people. The law doesn't. Unless a person is resisting arrest, you have no reason even to put handcuff.
So
tell Hussein, where would you go, for instance, today? You committed a crime, and we told you to go to Kilimani. Where would you go?
Okay, Honorable.
I mean, check the circumstances of people and tell them to subject themselves to the law.
Why you want this? Everybody is equal above the law. That is the point.
Yes, there is equality before the law, but we also enforce the law to secure obedience to the law. Not to harass people.
In ancient Rome, there's a form of punishment called punishing by public naming, where they take you before the public and you're ashamed of what the actions that you have done, and that is considered to be enough punishment. I think DPP and DCI, having realized that because of how they partake of their duties, that it is so difficult to secure a conviction, have resorted to this kind of punitive actions against suspects who they are not able to declare guilty at the end of the process. That is why we had
this. That is not their role, though.
That is why we had this issue of Kamata Friday. You know, when people began questioning and say, the Constitution went to the level and detail of saying, please do not keep suspects more than 24 hours unless it is impossible, because it was known.
Okay.
You know, Hussein, you should also give us some form of understanding to the kind of things that we are saying. We're surely not mad people. At the age of 33, serving my second term in the Senate, I'm not a fool. So when you hear me raise certain particular issues about how a particular exercise is being conducted, it tells you that there are certain issues. In fact, if you are to step down from this, the path that you have taken in the particular, let us even go back to the issue of this issue of dams and just listen to the other side of the debate. You know, the unfortunate thing about Kenyans is that Kenyans have got this weakness of, so long as you're not saying that which I agree with, you are wrong and I will never give you a chance, which is unfortunate because even Hussein, of course that is within your right, but allow people to give any particular process the due diligence that is required of it.
Criticism and support in equal measure, that's what you're saying.
This is a very serious this is a very serious issue that you're facing. That's corruption, and the problem that we have, the reason why we are not able to win this war on corruption is because, one, we bandy words around, we bandy figures around, and with all due respect, I keep seeing that line that you're running around, that we lose about $1 trillion annually to Graft. I mean, for sure, that is impossible.
Because criticism.
Do you know why it's impossible? Because we collect 1.4 trillion. If we were to lose $1 trillion, we will never even be able to pay.
We take debts.
Gentlemen, you're saying they should be criticized and supported in equal measure, isn't it?
Yes.
But their independence should be safeguarded. This institution. That's
correct.
Exactly.
Correct.
That's the question.
Correct.
That's the point that I was trying to make all along. I am glad you have finally.
I would love to continue this conversation, and I'm sure we'll talk about this again soon. I'll read a few. I'll look at a few feedback. At Asamo on Twitter says, Honorable Koluma wants state officers to be arrested in a decent way. Do they steal or engage in corruption with decency? That's what he's asking you. We're talking about.
Can I answer him very quickly?
Yeah, and Herman Manyora says, ask Kaluma whether he knows that there are people rotting at industrial area, remand prison. Honorable Ben Washiali says, Hussein, as long as there's selective justice on matters corruption, Kenyans will always doubt the outcome. By the way, what happened to EACC, a body empowered by constitution to fight corruption in this country? Okay, as we wind up. Yeah. Just respond to that one.
My position is that we are a rule of law country founded on the constitution. All these people, fellow Kenyans, remain innocent until they are proven so. They are only suspects. And so long as they remain suspects, the constitution says they should be treated in a particular way. And I'm not just talking of state officers. I'm saying let us be sensitive to the fact that they remain innocent. They have families, they have dignity. There is no reason, for instance, as to why you should wake me up before my children, roughing me up because you want me to report to an authority. Just tell me the authority to report to, I will go. Number two, something like bail is a constitutional right. It is only to secure our attendance, the attendance of the accused person before court pending trial. I mean, there is no reason to give terms which essentially end up denying it. That is what I'm talking about.
Okay,
but we support the war against corruption, and we do not favor anybody who is blamed for it.
Honorable Cheruiyot also says he actually supports the war on corruption
by critiquing it.
And he's criticism. The question has been how.
That's the only way we are going to make these institutions become better. By the way, I don't know, Hussein, if you know that DPP should constitutionally be the oversight institution to DCI. They should be able to check a particular file and be satisfied that the work that has been done meets the threshold to charge or not. But this year comes and reads a statement like he did on Monday and said we have concluded investigation. Surely, are we not duty bound to question on such obvious flaw in constitutional provision?
Process, isn't it?
No, there is
it will be determined in the courtroom, isn't it?
No, but it is wrong fundamentally.
It will be determined in the courtroom.
You see, Aaron is right until he plunges into matters law. Don't go there.
Let's leave it there. At least both of you agree. It's important to let these institutions do their job.
Correct.
And that is all.
That's true.
Well, thank you so much for making time for us tonight. Of course, this is the war on corruption. Is always interesting in Kenya. And of course, there are interesting times ahead, no doubt about that. But we thank you so much for making time for us tonight. Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, Kericho County, and Peter Kaluma, who's the Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament. Keep texting us 22422. On Twitter, use the hashtag Newsnight. And still ahead.